Council, Monday, October the 2nd, 2017 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. So first up is the adoption of some minutes, the regular open minutes of September the 18th, the special open minutes of September the 14th, and the public hearing minutes of September the 18th. So could we have a motion to accept those? Thank you. Councillor Youngberg, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor. Thank you. Business arising from prior minutes. So from the closed meeting of September the 5th, 2017, there is a disposition of land at 8701 Main Street, and there was the motion that we would like to bring out of closed is that moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Youngberg, that Council offers a lease of the facility at 8701 Main Street to the public through advertising required under Section 26 of the Community Charter with a maximum lease of 3 years. And that motion was carried. Now, do we need to have that motion to accept that? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Campbell, all in favor. Thank you. Next, introduction of late items. And I have them on here. Are they on the rest of councils? No. So there's two late items. One is a call for expressions of interest to host the BC Mayor's Caucus 2018. And the second one, that a public hearing information. And then we've got number 3. We'd leave that one out? Okay. So we need a motion, please, to include those in the agenda. Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King. And that means that we've adopted the agenda, including those. Okay, thanks. No delegations, no water matters. No correspondence. The Mayor's Caucus is going under under the correspondence. So I do not have the copy of that. I'll look it up here. You didn't run off a copy, did you, Mrs. Hilson? I could find it on my. Basically, the Mayor's Caucus happens every year usually in February. Last year it was over in Oak Bay. It is available for mayors from across the province to attend. I believe it's a 2-day event, and at the mayors met down in at UBCM, and the mayor who held it the last time over in Oak Bay said, we're looking for somebody to hold the Mayor's Caucus again this year. Is there anybody interested? And he specifically asked me, and I said, well, I'm not sure. There must be lots of other places that might be interested too. I don't know. And I never thought more about it. But today, all the mayors have received a request asking to look at it. So it might not be a bad idea to have Mr. Emenko, would you be doing that? Somebody look at requesting more information to see what is involved, when it is, how long it is, what the requirements are, meeting rooms, meals, hotel rooms, that type of thing.
Yes, all I need is a resolution from council to provide an expression of interest and seek out additional facilities and requirements to host the event.
Thank you. So Councillor Rhodes and Councillor Youngberg. And did you want to speak to it first? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'm just wondering about engaging Destination Osoyoos with this as well. Seems to be a project that would be probably benefit an awful lot from their input as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can, once we get the information, then we can certainly see how they can help us out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly soon, so a couple of months. So it may be a little difficult to do something like this, but before we know, we can find out what's needed first.
Yeah, I think that's where we benefit from getting DO involved. Is
yes.
Once we know the criteria and the needs.
Yep.
And get them involved in what that would look like or what that could look
sure.
like here.
So we've have it moved and seconded. All in favor of looking for more information? Thank you very much. So we're now on to bylaws, right? Just checking with Mrs. Hilson. She's got some, keeps me on the straight and narrow here. Okay, so permissive tax bylaws. That looks like it would be Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before council is permissive tax exemption bylaw number 1334, 2017. And this is for council to renew their permissive tax exemption bylaw under section 224 of the community charter. Each year, council updates their permissive tax exemption bylaw, which is to be adopted no later than October 31st of each year. This tax exemption bylaw would take effect for the 2018 tax year. This permissive tax exemption bylaw has had one change to remove the Osoyoos Lake Lions Club, as the club is no longer in operation. Community continuation to provide permissive tax exemptions by updating and renewing the permissive tax exemption bylaw. Organizationally, there's no changes. Budget, there's no changes. Significant dates, bylaw needs to be adopted no later than October 31st, as per section 224 of the community charter. Sustainability allows nonprofit organizations and places of public worship to continue to provide services to the town of Osoyoos community. So the options before council: option 1, to give first 3 readings to permissive tax exemption bylaw 1334 2017. Option 2, to further amend permissive tax exemption bylaw 1334 2017 and give first 3 readings. And the recommendation before council is option number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Councillor Youngberg.
Thanks, Mayor McCordoff. I would like to make the motion to give the first 3 readings of permissive tax exemption bylaw number 1334 2017. Have it passed by us.
Is there somebody who'd like to second that? Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. And is there anyone who you'd like to speak to it?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yes. I think it's real positive for us to look at this exemption as we have every year. All these existing organizations need a little assistance to keep them going, I think. Thanks.
Okay, this is similar to last year, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yep. Good. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of this? Thank you. Opposed? No? Okay, that's carried. Next is the seasonal parks and washrooms. Mr. Dinwiddie.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Typically during the autumn and winter seasons, operational services closes all but 2 of the public washrooms in our parks as a result of decreased public demand. Last year, the Operational Services Department began the winter season maintaining the Gyro and Goodman Parks washrooms. Unfortunately, numerous complaints about people camping in the Gyro washroom resulted in Town Council deciding to close this facility in December of 2016. It has been suggested that in order to reduce the possibility of further vandalism at Gyro Park, that these washrooms would remain closed and that the washroom at the marina would remain open. The marina washrooms are smaller and less likely to be used for overnight camping and would still provide service to citizens walking the trails along the shores of Osoyoos Lake. Operational Services is therefore proposing to leave open and maintain the following parks washrooms for the winter season: the marina washroom, Goodman Park washroom, and the public washroom here at Town Hall. The implications for the community are that parks washroom facilities would still be accessible to citizens walking along Osoyoos Lake during the winter season. Organizationally, the Operational Services Department would continue to maintain some of the parks washrooms during the winter of 2017-2018. Budget implications are none. Significant dates: Operational Services will be closing the parks washrooms October 16th of 2017, so a decision on which washrooms should remain open would be required as soon as possible, and sustainability has no implications. The options before Council are that Council recommend opening and maintaining Marina, Goodman, and Town Hall public washrooms during the winter season of 2017-2018. Option number 2 is that Council recommend opening and maintaining Gyro Park, Goodman Park, and Town Hall public washrooms during the winter season of 2017-18. Option number 3 is that Council requests additional information prior to making a decision. Administration recommends that Council adopt option number 1.
Thank you very much. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. This is one of those tough balancing acts. And I know that when we went through this exercise last year, when the decision was made, to close the washrooms at Gyro, we got some feedback from the community, and nobody was really wrong in the situation. There's this feeling that we've got this great asset there that could be used, and we promote walking, we promote using the trails, and this convenience should exist. At the same time, the balancing act really is to not so much the overnight camping is part of it for sure, but there were other factors as well with drug use and the risk of kids going into a bathroom where there's potentially used needles and things like that. So I wanted to say all that so that the public does understand that it is a bit of a balancing act when we're making these decisions, but in the interest of the community and safety, and where we're able operationally to look after things, I agree with the recommendation. Having said all that, I'll move option number 1.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, are you seconding that motion? Or
Yes.
Yes, and did you want to speak to it? Yes, go ahead.
Just a question about the marina washroom. I think the ongoing care and maintenance is done by the marina operator at this time.
When they're running the marina, yes.
So we would take over
Yes.
that duty, and that doesn't impose any issues of any kind?
I don't think so, no. He only maintains the washroom while he's running his particular marina business, and I think his lease expires right around the time that we would take over running cleaning the bathrooms.
So we don't need to, our staff would look after it, is that?
Well, we're currently in the process of hiring a seasonal washroom cleaner, and that person's job is to maintain these parks washrooms during the winter season, as well as cleaning the offices for the town. So they usually work between 2 and 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. Once again, making a quick trip to either Goodman Marina or Gyro, cleaning the washrooms, making sure they're fully stocked with paper and stuff like that, and then each day of the week they're assigned a different office to clean. So we get town hall, public works, fire hall, that kind of thing. So the new fire hall takes a little bit longer to clean, so that's why it's a little bit longer on those days, because it's a much bigger building. So.
Thanks.
Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I see with the response we got last year about closing Gyro Park with the issues we had in the washroom, but I'd sure like to make a small amendment to have it stay open until at least the end of October in Gyro Park. With the weather, I don't see people really sleeping in there this early in the season.
Like Councillor Campbell said, most of the problem with Gyro was not so much the camping, so much it was for lack of a better word, the illegal drug trade that was happening in the bathroom. People were concerned that they're sending kids or elderly people are going into the washroom to use the facility, and they're walking in the middle of the drug deal. Mm-hmm. There were safety concerns for that reason, so I don't know, we could try to keep it open until the end of October and see.
It seems to me that if October 16th is the date that everything else turns over, it would make sense to have it done that way. At the same time, can I just check, after last year, I think it was in December that we changed, we closed Gyro and opened the marina. Was that
last year you just closed Gyro, period. We didn't open the marina.
We didn't open the marina. Okay, we talked about it. We didn't open it because I was wondering, was that, so you think that it's necessary probably to have something open along there?
Well, I think, like I said, we're told that there's a fair amount of foot traffic along the paths along the Osoyoos Lake.
I agree.
And so if you open up something at least, and that something is just a little farther down the path to get to the marina washroom, because it's so much smaller than Gyro, it's less likely to attract people with the drug deals and stuff. It's also a little bit out of the way from where the Gyro is. Gyro's kind of right below Main Street and the pubs and that sort of thing. So who knows, but maybe the drug deals will happen there too. I don't know, but I don't think so.
So Lions Park is then closed on October the 16th.
Park is closed because there's no heat there.
And Gyro, or Kinsman Park as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. No, I'm
They're not wired for lights. Next year, though, if I have a budget thing, you think...
What's he got
He's
next
just
year?
dropping a hint.
Asking us for money. I want money next year.
Okay, so
he wears a tie for those ones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he dresses up nicely.
I'm wearing a coat. You want to ask for money? I'll come with a full tie.
Thank you, Madam. I'm still looking to see if I could get any support to keep Gyro open for the extra couple of weeks. I think you actually answered your own question with being the busiest spot in the town. and the weather we still have in Osoyoos, I still think it's a practical thing to do.
Can I suggest we deal with the motions on the floor and then
Okay.
you make a subsequent motion?
I was trying to amend it.
I wouldn't accept the amendment.
Okay, so we have it moved and seconded that we go with option number 1. All in favor? Thank you. Against? Okay, so that's done. Now, can we allow Councillor King to make up? Councillor King?
I'd like to make a motion that Gyro Park stays open to the end of October this year.
Till October 31st?
Yes.
Halloween, woo! Is there anybody wanting to second that motion? Well, I'll second it to keep it on the floor. Is there any, so that it was just because you thought that, Jim, would you like to speak to it? Is there?
Yeah, I just believe with the good weather we have, and we know Gyro Park is the center of our beautiful town, that I believe it'd be nicer to keep it open a few more weeks to get less complaints about why it's closed so early in the season. I mean, it's a beautiful sunny day. There's people walking down there right now, so.
Okay, yes.
Can I just ask out of a matter of procedure? We just voted on a motion to close it on October the 16th. So now we can't vote in favor of this motion because we'd have to defeat the first one.
I'm just looking for
Is that
Direction.
clarification.
I mean, how can I vote?
I agree with what you're saying.
How can I vote in favor of
Maintaining
keeping it
percentage.
open till October 30th when
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
just voted in favor of the
Oh, I was
October
in the mo-
16th?
That's
I
true.
don't see the point.
Actually, what you said was that it would be maintain Marina Goodman and the town washrooms during the
We didn't
winter,
talk
so it
about
didn't
anything
really
else closing it.
specify this, a gyro, so we could actually.
We didn't
Oh, I
talk
see.
anything about closing
Yeah.
in the option
Oh, because
one.
gyro wasn't in the first motion.
Right.
Yeah, and it's, yeah.
Oh, I see.
So I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's going to,
Operationally, there's a transition of all of this happening at once.
Yeah.
Would that not be challenging for you to?
Well, it would be challenging, but we if that's what council wishes, then that's what we would do.
Just schedule a person
so
for
rather
next
than
2
3,
weeks.
there'd be 4.
I personally don't see the advantage for 2 weeks. I'd rather make our decisions on bathrooms as
Yeah.
a whole, have them done, let the public know, and not have any confusion of one staying open longer. And this is pretty black and white, that these are the washrooms that will remain open. These are the ones that will close. And for the public's perspective, that's pretty simple.
Okay, anybody else like to speak to it? Okay, the motion on the floor then is that we maintain Gyro Park until, as an open washroom until the end of October. All in favor? Against? Okay, so that didn't carry. Thank you. All right. Next is the Main Street lease. Ms. Van Vienen.
Thank you. Destination Osoyoos has given notice that they will be vacating the premises at 8701 Main Street as of December 31st, 2017. An advertisement requesting proposals for renting the property was placed in the Osoyoos Times in the September 13th and 20th issues. A viewing of the building was held on Thursday, September 21st, with 2 groups attending. The closing date for proposals was September 25th, 2017 at 2 p.m. Only one proposal was received from Desert Sun Counseling and Resource Center. The proposal is to lease the foyer, reception office, and 2 other offices in the building for a total of approximately 864 square feet. To include the 2 washrooms would increase the square footage to 945 square feet, and all measurements are approximate. The total square footage of the building is 2,866. However, the town does use a small portion for record storage and would not lease the building to any other group. The proposal by Desert Sun is for $800 per month. This is below the market value for rent, which is $10 per square foot. However, Section 24 of the Community Charter reads as follows. 24.1, a council must give notice in accordance with Section 94, public notice, of its intention to provide any of the following forms of assistance to a person or organization, and that would be under subsection A, disposing of land or improvements or any interest or right in or with respect to them for less than market value. And Section 24.2, the notice must be published before the assistance is provided and must A, identify the intended recipient of the assistance, and B, subscribe the nature, term, and extent of the proposed assistance. In the past, the town has taken on the janitorial maintenance of the facility as well as the utility costs. Desert Sun has been provided information on the utility costs of the facility for a one-year period, which totaled $3,283.85 for electrical and $1,128.24 for gas. The janitorial costs for the town are approximately $2,200 per year. If Desert Sun were offered the rent of the property, they could be made responsible for the utility costs, which would be $4,412.09 per year, or $367.67 per month. Starting in January 2016, Destination Osoyoos paid $24,823 plus CPI increases yearly, or $2,068 per month, with utilities and janitorial included in the rent. If council agrees to renting the building to Desert Sun, the town would continue to insure the premises. However, Desert Sun would be responsible for insuring their contents and provide liability insurance. This is the same agreement with Destination Osoyoos. The town would continue to maintain the outside of the building for sidewalk and parking lot snow removal and maintenance, maintain the inside for lighting, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. If the property remains empty, the town would be responsible for ensuring it is inspected on a regular basis for insurance purposes and must keep the building temperature such to avoid the water pipes from freezing. Implications to the community: use of an existing building, organizationally monitoring of the lease. Budget: there will be a reduction in the amount collected through rent of $1,268. However, the town will recoup the cost for utilities in the approximate amount of $368 per month, for a total loss of revenue of approximately $900 per month. Significant dates: Desert Sun current lease is ending in November, and they will need to know as soon as possible if this building is made available to them or not. Sustainability: continued use of the existing building. Options: 1, that the town lease the building located at 8701 Main Street to Desert Sun Counseling and Resource Center for a year-to-year term beginning January 1st, 2018, for a maximum of 3 years for a lease rate of $800 plus utilities to be billed through the town, and with the Desert Sun being responsible for the janitorial services, and that the required advertising take place. 2, that the town lease the building located at 8701 Main Street to Desert Sun Counseling and Resource Center for a year-to-year term beginning January 1st, 2018, for a maximum of 3 years, at a lease rate of $800, with the town paying full utilities and Desert Sun paying janitorial fees, and that the required advertising take place. 3, that the town lease the building located at 8701 Main Street to Desert Sun Counseling and Resource Center for a lease rate of $800, with the town paying full utilities and janitorial fees, and that the required advertising take place. 4, that the town not lease the building located at 8701 Main Street at this time. Or 5, that the town re-advertise the availability of the building located at 8701 Main Street. Staff recommend option 1. Desert Sun is a not-for-profit agency that offers a valuable service to the community. The community charter allows council to provide assistance in the form of a lease for this type of organization, as it is not considered a business but rather a non-profit organization. However, the assistance must be advertised. If the building is not leased in the near future, the town would be responsible for the utility bill and require a staff member to inspect the building on a regular basis, likely at least once per week.
Thank you very much. This is a bit confusing. Can I just ask to provide assistance in the form of the lease? The assistance must be advertised. Does that mean the cleaning, or how is it that
we're leasing it below market value?
Oh, and we've already sort of done that, but we've already asked for expressions of interest. But now we would have to go back and say that because we're leasing it less than market value, that okay,
that's
enough.
correct.
Got it. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Then Councillor King, you're next.
I'd like to move option number 1.
Okay, Councillor King, are you second?
I'll second that, and then I'll let you make a comment.
Sure. And did you want to speak to it, Councillor? Okay, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just relating here that the way I read this option 1, I know it's over 3 years, but it actually comes up every year, so technically they could get out of it, or we could get out of it with 30 or 60-day notice.
That's correct.
And you wouldn't think they would prefer a 3-year locked-in?
That is they did originally offer that, but we advertised for the year-to-year with
Okay.
for 3
That's
years.
fine.
Yes.
That's fine. Thank you.
Can I ask, Ms. Van Vienen, because when I look at the map of this, that there are some offices that they were not going to use, is it possible for another small group to sublet those offices? Would they have to deal through us if that was what they wanted, or through Desert Sun? How does that work? Or is it even an option?
Well, it would have to be compatible with Desert Sun
Yes.
because they would obviously have secure records and confidentiality issues. So I think that would be something that, if they wanted to sublet to somebody, it would have to come through us for approval.
Because they did say that to me way back, that they wouldn't need the whole building and they would be happy to, but I'm not sure whether that's what's happened since then. But I just wondered if that was an option.
Yes, they did actually offer to have one of the offices used by the victim services manager. However, in speaking to the RCMP, it's best that she remain up at the RCMP detachment so she has access to their files.
Good, got it. Yes, Councillor Youngberg.
Yes, and I understand we use some of that building for storage for records
That's
for the
correct.
town.
Yeah.
So therefore, the use would be just a little bit. We'd have to really approve that before someone else moved in. I'd like to support that motion because I think Desert Sun is, just as we have stated, a real important organization to be to make sure that all of our residents have the access to that organization. They were here once, and now they're coming back, so I think it's a real addition to our community.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'd like to play the devil's advocate a little bit here, and the fair market value of $10 square foot, we're pretty sure that's close to what it is. I think when you do the math on that the $800 per month is about a third of that. Am I correct in assuming that? So we have a fair market value. When you do the math, the $800 transfers into about a third of fair market value.
If they're going to use all of the available space, but they're not going to use they're not using all of the available space, but they would be paying the utilities for the entire building.
Yeah, that part of it I understand, but I'm trying to, so I should qualify it. I feel exactly the same way about Desert Sun and the value in the community. However, there is a large gap between fair market value and the proposed amount of $800. And I'm wondering if we have any options other than to go back to the public again with them. Is this a negotiable amount, or it's not, eh?
That's all they can pay.
That's what they said, that their available funds are for lease or rent.
And the other group that went through the building at the same time decided that it was not what they could do without a lot of structural change to the building. Therefore, they did not put in an offer.
Do we support Desert Sun through our grant and aid program as well?
We do.
So I
Do we
can
know
read you
what
what
that-
they said in their proposal. It said, our budget reliably allows $800 per month for the rental requirements of the 4 above-mentioned programs, and that is the BC Housing, Ministry of Justice and Gaming, as well as charitable giving fundraising. We are required to apply for funding on an annual basis and required to meet contractual standards and submit quarterly reports. So they get funding from those agencies, and that's how much they can pay for rent.
Your timing was interesting because that's why my hand was up to bring the grant and aid into this. Is that okay?
I just wanted to make sure that Councillor Rhodes was finished first. Can I let somebody else ask a question and you come back to you, or did you? Or sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, we're just going to finish off.
Yeah, sure.
I do have some concerns about the $800 per month. I understand how the utilities get factored into that, but still it's well below market value. And what I always fear in situations like this is somebody, another organization that has similar needs coming up, and, that whole thing about setting a precedent, that kind of thing is kind of troublesome to me. If it was, a couple of hundred a month, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but we're talking like I don't have a calculator, but I am kind of disputing the $900 a month. I think it's a little bit more than that.
We would have a cost, wouldn't we, if we left the building open and not used?
Yeah, we'd be paying the heat and light.
We'd be paying the heat and light and somebody to go in there, and so to me, that sort of offset it, but I totally understand. Could we ask Mr. Zackel his thoughts on this, seeing as he understands figures?
They want to rent 860.
In my grade 3 math, when you take $10 per square foot and the square footage of the building, comes out to about $28,000 per year, I think.
Yeah, but they're only leasing 800 square feet.
864
Yeah.
square feet.
860 square feet. So it's basically, that's where Jeanette was getting the $10 per square foot lease rate. Now, depending on what the market value rate is for lease per square foot.
That is the market value. We call the
That is.
realtor, and that is the market
So
value
you're-
of square footage.
You're very close,
Got you in a
very
minute.
close to that mark. Like, you're talking maybe 20 cents, 30 cents difference.
And the thing is that there's 3 empty rooms there, and that was my sort of concern. I'm thinking that there should be a better use for those rooms rather than not having them. However,
So if I,
Go ahead,
if I
yeah.
can address a few things, I'm glad you brought up the grant and aid, because this would obviously be a factor on applying for subsequent years with what we're doing below market value here. I would normally agree with Councillor Rhodes going anywhere under market value if we were leasing to a profitable business or a business, period. What I look at in a scenario like this is the need within the community, and if there's no cost to the town. Obviously, if the town had to put money toward this, I'd look at it differently. Having said that, I do think where I guess I don't agree is, Ms. Van Vienen, when you said that potentially they could sublease the other 3 offices, or however many offices that is, then that changes everything here.
No, we're not letting them sublease.
No, they can't sublease.
No.
All right, so I guess I would want something in the language here to state that the town, within the security of records and everything else that would be involved with a nonprofit like that, would be able to utilize or lease those additional offices. And I think by having control of those offices, that would address Councillor Rhodes' concern, because that actually does bring the space they would be leasing down to near market value anyways, and that we would have options down the road for those offices should we have a use for them.
go ahead, Ms. Van Vienen.
If a council agrees to this, then an actual formal lease will come to council for approval once we've talked to Desert Sun. So that will be included in the lease, that they cannot sublet those areas.
Would it also state, though, that space can be leased out separately
By the town?
by the town?
If council so wishes, yes.
That's what I would like to see, that
I
we still
would
have
too.
control of that part of the building that's not in use, and that the lease clearly states that 800 square foot, what that includes at that $800 per month, I think would be important.
On the map at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think it
Already.
would be important to, if we did lease it to Desert Sun, that they be agreeable with whoever
course.
it was. Yeah, because it
We'd
would have to be
take into
compatible.
account security of
Yeah.
records, all
Yep.
of those things, but that
Absolutely.
we had those options, and that space cannot be utilized by them.
Right, and I totally agree with you that we put that in there in such a way that if something came up, we could arrange to deal with them and do a sublease, yeah.
Having said all that,
Yes.
that adds some complication too, on the utilities and things like that, where
Yep.
we'd have to amend that lease at some point if we leased out that space, that they're not paying utilities for the entire building.
Yeah, it'll be a prorated lease,
Yeah.
if we in fact sublet it.
All right, if we could agree that language would be in the lease, then I'm
Right.
comfortable.
Yeah. I'd be
And that
okay
would
with
work
it,
with
too.
utilities, because we would remain getting the utility bills sent to the town, and we will be sending the bill to them from here, because it is broken down on our utility billing. So
Okay.
then that could be worked out through the accounting department.
Good.
Then I'm comfortable.
Councillor King, did you have something
I'm
you
good.
wanted?
That's
No, you're
great.
okay with
I think it's
that?
a great idea.
So who
Yeah.
made the
I made the
motion?
motion.
You made the motion, Jim?
Who
Okay.
seconded?
So I just wondered, Councillor Rhodes, are you comfortable with that, the way it's set up? Councillor Youngberg?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion is to go with option 1, and we would include the wording that Councillor Campbell mentioned to
That
Ms.
the
Van
lease is
Dien.
specific to the 800 square feet.
Yeah.
And that
And
the
that-
town does
yeah.
have.
For the 864?
Yeah, it's
Well, whatever that number is.
864? Okay.
Plus washrooms.
So are Mr. Manco, Ms. Van Vienen, you're okay with that?
Yep.
That's comfortable? All right, so all in favor of the motion? Thank you very much. That's carried. Okay. Next is the general,
No, the foreshore, the added item.
A late
yes,
item.
please go ahead.
Okay. This is just kind of a public information announcement relative to on September 18th, Council had a public hearing in relation to the foreshore and zoning bylaw amendment number 1294. I think it's .02 2017. Subsequent to that, Council has been receiving a number of emails from potentially affected parties, and I just want to inform the public how these emails need to be handled and are being handled. So Council is not allowed to receive or consider any further information or submissions from the public after the public hearing. In order to ensure a fair process, the public should not continue to submit additional comments to the town regarding the matters, since they have been already given the opportunity to make submissions before the deadline. These emails are being scrutinized by the Planning Department to see if any additional new information is actually being provided to Council. If there is new information, that new information will be brought to Council's attention prior at the next meeting, when this zoning amendment bylaw will be going for consideration. So just to inform public the kind of legalities of the process that Council is under.
Good. No, thank you very much. Okay. Next is the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. And this is to October the 2nd, 2017. General cash requirements of $195,937.90. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $14,912.96. And those will be adopted by consensus. And the net payroll accounts of $114,246.78, and that will be done by consensus. Okay. Committee reports is the Waterfront Steering Committee held on October the 21st, 2017. Councillor Rhodes, would you like to speak to that, or?
Thank you, Member Kordoff. I don't really have anything to add to the report. It's very accurate and certainly covers everything that we discussed in the last meeting. Once again, I would like to encourage anybody in the public that has, a need to know more information about this, that they contact us until we actually start putting pylons into the lake and building the pier. Everything is open for discussion and that kind of thing, and we're certainly at that point right now. But I think the written report covers pretty much everything that was discussed in the meeting.
Good. Nobody else needed to add anything? Thank you very much. So we need a motion that this be accepted for information. Councillor King, Councillor Campbell, all in favor. Thank you. And the CAO report, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'm going to kind of forego my usual report today for these words. It is with profound sadness that I am informing the community of the passing of Planning Director Alan Cunningham. Alan passed away Friday, peacefully with his wife Jill at his side, after a short illness. Alan was an employee of the town for 13 years. He provided policy recommendations and planning management in the period of time that the community had experienced its largest growth and development. Alain brought planning and development expertise to this town that was second to none. His passion for planning was displayed in his doctorate-level academic background and carried out contemporary research and report writing that left council or the CEO with few questions when it came time to make decisions. Members of council, CAOs, the public, and developers may not always agreed with Alain when it came to discussing development projects, but you always knew that Alain had the best interest of the community at heart, and his position was supported by the most contemporary planning theory. He challenged all his colleagues to be the best they could be. Alain didn't limit his scope of work to only planning matters, as he was an exceptional project management person as well. His most recent successes included working on the Fire Hall project, implementation of the Meadowlark subdivision, research and development of the affordable housing policy, and near-market housing program. Alain's planning legacy will live on with the implementation of the Southeast Meadowlark Plan. He was able to broker with the Agricultural Land Commission that ensured future lands for residential development and community growth. Alain was a very private man that enjoyed the fruits of labor on his farm outside of Rock Creek and supported his wife Jill in their efforts to provide a good home for numerous rescue animals. He enjoyed the quiet moments of a cup of tea on his deck, looking out over on the valley, reading his planning books, or sharing conversations with his wife Jill. Alain will be missed at the management table and by this community. And on behalf of all the staff, I offer my condolences to Jill. May he rest in peace.
Thank you very much. That's very difficult to do, and all of us are going to miss Alain. I particularly liked going into his office and asking for clarification on items or his advice, and he always readily gave it to me, so he will definitely be missed. So we need to accept the CAO report. Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you, and we will now go into council reports. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As most people might be aware, or some might not, most of us here on council and mayor attended the UBCM in Vancouver. We were very well received, I believe, with the Education Minister, Public Safety and Solicitor General, Mental Health, Municipal Affairs. To me, they were very good listeners, listened to our wants, our needs, and our concerns. So hopefully when they shook their head up and down, that meant they will pay attention to our community, and maybe we will get some of the wishes we asked for. I also attended Municipal Insurance Association's AGM, which I guess I was appointed to attend, kind of an interesting meeting. But saying that, the town was receptive of a very nice plaque as being one of the chartered members of the Municipal Insurance Association for 30 years. So I'd like to present this to the town, or give this to the town, maybe in your office or out in front, but that's my report.
Thank you very much. What do we do with that? Do we put it up somewhere?
Looks like we can do a salmon on it.
Thank you very much, Jim. So now Jim has reported on everything that we went to, so I'm not sure what the rest of us are going to say. Go ahead, Councillor Youngberg.
Thanks, Mayor McCordoff. UBCM was a very interesting 4 or 5 days of meeting all the new ministers in their positions, and many of them openly admitted that, they're still trying to figure out the role they're going to play. So hopefully, as Councillor King said, all the shaking of their heads is going to warrant some of our wishes, for sure. I just have to recite, it's just a sad day for all of us listening to CAO's report regarding Alain Cunningham, who I worked with extensively over the last 12 years, and I too will, definitely miss him. as well as all the suffering that's going on in Canada with the various incidents. It's just one of these days where you sit and look around and just don't know where you're going to go next with safety and the welfare of everybody in our country and in our community. And I just am very thankful that the majority of us have got some very secure places that we do our business in and live. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Member Kordoff. Thank you very much, CAO Romanko, for your report. Certainly echoes pretty much everything I felt about Alain. It was always a privilege to work with him. He was forthright, honest, hardworking, and certainly guided me down a few paths that I never ever thought I would in life, and he will be missed, there's no doubt. I'd like to comment on some of the events that happened in a city in Alberta, in Edmonton, this past weekend, that terrorist act that happened there. And I don't really want to comment on what happened, but I would sure like to comment on the resolve of the people that live in Edmonton. And I'm commenting on this, as everybody knows, I'm a big Oiler fan, and it was my home for many years and that type of thing. But the resolve of the residents in the city of Edmonton, in their steadfastness against hatred and terrorism and those kind of things, is just absolutely amazing. There was a rally held last night. There was thousands of people that came out to it, and just wanted to acknowledge that fact. Also, the events from yesterday in Las Vegas. Regrettably, the news is bringing the death of 2 Canadians that happened there, one from the Lower Mainland and one from Alberta, and 2 other individuals from Winnipeg that were shot and wounded last night. Even in small communities like Osoyoos, it impacts us profoundly, and we need the same kind of resolve here as everybody else does towards these terrible, terrible acts of one human being against others. And we watched the news, and seeing the senseless slaughter that happened yesterday was just absolutely earth-shaking. But we get through these things by understanding that Canadian values are recognized around the world as being some of the best. We're a people that stands up against these kind of things, and I'm just hoping that we can carry on doing that in our community as well.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell?
I'm good.
No? Okay. So I just want to comment a little bit on UBCM. Fortunately for us, it was a beautiful week in Vancouver. It was warm. It was not windy. We were able to get to all of the meetings that we needed to get to, and we did. We went to, saw several ministers and had excellent reports written by Mr. Romanko, presented it to them, and I think we were very well received. 2 of the big themes that I felt for the entire week were affordable housing. It seems to be on everybody's mind. And it's a very complicated issue. I went to a meeting one morning for 3 hours, and we had some people from the universities talking about affordable housing, talking about whether the tax that's been put on in Vancouver should have been done or 15 years ago, or it's a very, very complicated issue. But it looks like it'll be around for a while, and I think there are many people that are trying to make sense of it and work on it. And I went into a little house down there that Vancouver is using, and I've got the brochure on it, so maybe it'll work. The other thing I think was the other issue was mental health and addictions, And we did meet with the new minister, and Councillor Campbell did an excellent job of explaining why we had a big concern about this in our community and from personal experience. And I think that she really listened and she paid attention to that. So I think we will hear some more on this. So to me, those were two of the big things that were brought up several times. There also one more thing. You may see all of us in a picture, because at the trade show there was a very large area that Fortis had set aside, and when we went and looked at it, there was, I bet, a 20-foot by 10-foot picture on the wall, and it was Osoyoos. So after we told them how to pronounce the name properly, we had a picture of all of us standing in front of this, and Fortis needs to use that in all their advertising. So, pardon me? And they did. And oh, perfect. And they gave us a barbecue. So you will probably hear more about UBCM. It's a very worthwhile event that we went to, and we certainly appreciate the fact that we are able to go down and represent the town and learn as much as we can. So thank you all. There is a public hearing at 4 o'clock on a zoning issue. If anybody is interested in showing up, they should look on the town website and see the agenda. So that's the end of my report, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Councillor Campbell, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you.